Hi everyone, I'm Stuti Karmarkar. I'm a clinical psychologist, and today I'm going to speak about how can you help someone with a mental health problem. So typically, when you say that you are um, you're looking at someone who's either your friend or your colleague or even a family member for that matter, you tend to share a good bond with them, and by sharing that bond, you generally tend to know how the person thinks, how the person talks, how the person behaves. But if there is a difference, when you start seeing that the person is not being himself or herself lately, they're probably getting irritated or frustrated or angry on a little thing, like little things here and there, or even getting angry or moody for no reason at all, you know that there's something wrong with the person. So ideally, these are like the key signs where you know that okay, there's something wrong with the person, and probably he or she needs help, or maybe I should be of help to that person. So this is how you generally tend to know that something's wrong with the person on three basic areas, like I mentioned, when they are talking differently, when they're thinking differently, when they're behaving differently than the usual self that they are. As a peer or as a friend, as a colleague, as a family member, you should one is approach them. Go and tell them that I have been observing or noticing you lately, and you seem a bit off. Now, having said that, you should not be, you know, pressurizing that person. I mean, of course, it is quite obvious to you that something's wrong with the person. But having said that, you should let the person know that you know that something's wrong with them and you are there to help them out. And, rather than asking them, like, are you going through depression, or are you, you seem to be, looking very anxious or, restless. Instead of using these kind of terms, you should rather ask them that can you tell me what you're feeling, because sometimes what we assume the other person's feeling might not be what it is, or sometimes even if it is what it is, the other person might not be open enough to actually tell you, because either they feel embarrassed or they feel that they might be judged, or they're just not open right at that point in time to talk to you. And sometimes what happens, especially if it is a family member or a very close friend, people who are going through any sort of mental health issues or concerns, they feel that if they share their problems with you or their concern with you, they might be a burden to you, which they do not want to. So you need to be handling such kind of situation very, very gently. So you one is you approach them, you do tell them that I know that you're feeling low, or you I am kind of worried about you and concerned about what's going on, but I would be happy to know and hear what you are going through. And if not, if you feel that I'm not the right person, I am always happy to also help you out with finding out different resources or information, or for that matter even someone that you could talk to. That is one of the major things that you'll have to do as a peer. And apart from that, you could, and if the person, say for example, says, what, I really need to share, there's something burdening me, or making me feel low, and I really want to talk about it, be there for that person. One is be non-judgmental about that person, because his or her concerns might not be something that you feel that, oh, this is not something you can be worried about. I mean, it's okay, it's chill, it happens. So these certain things are not something you need to talk. You need to just be someone who will listen to them, someone who will not judge them, and someone who will definitely be there to tell them that what, come what may, I am there to help you. You have my back. You need to face that very, very gently. When you know for sure someone's going through mental health problem, do not diagnose the person. So generally in this, I mean, in today's day and age, I see a lot of people, even when when they're generally talking to their friends also, they tend to use a lot of medical terms like, oh, that person is such a psycho. Oh, I think I feel so depressed, man. I think I'm having a panic attack, or I just feel so anxious about something. Now what happens is that when you use such kind of terms to someone who's actually going through something, they tend to get overwhelmed by it. Second thing is, they start feeling that you're judging them, that you are labeling them. So that is again something you're not supposed to be doing. Third thing, don't start evaluating that person by diagnosing and also giving them certain remedies, in the sense that, people generally say that, why don't you try this? I think it might work. If you know for sure that it has worked on multiple levels with multiple people, or you have actually read and it actually works for people, then it's okay to suggest. But if you feel that, by fluke, let's just try doing this, or, let's just give it a try to do something else, which you yourself are not sure or haven't gone through it, do not ever give those kind of solutions to someone else. Support that person in, seeking help from someone who's a professional or an expert in that area. And don't go about telling this. Like sometimes what happens is, people as a friend, they come and they tell you, or they might just open up because you have asked them to. For the sake of that person, you might go and tell this to another person, thinking that, the other person will also help this a person, the person in picture, to, actually come over their grief or come over their problems. But for all you know, the person who's actually opened up to you might not actually be comfortable telling it to anybody else except you. So you need to be, so even if you feel the urge that, what, I think I should let your spouse know, or I think I should let your family members know, or I feel that I should let this other third person who's also a best friend, know about the situation. Do not go ahead and tell anybody else unless you have the permission from the person. If you feel that, okay, the other person will actually help because, the other person has a lot of resources, ask the person who's actually going through it and say, what, I've actually heard that so and so, has a good contact, or, so and so has gone through this earlier. Why don't we, use their contact details to help you get better? Ask the permission of the person in need, and only if the person says, what, fine, okay, you can go ahead and tell them, or no, you don't tell them everything. I will tell as much as I have to tell. Let that be the decision of the person in picture. A lot of times what happens is, see, when people start, like, when you catch someone in the initial phase of, feeling low, feeling depressed, feeling anxious, just feeling off from their usual self, as a friend, as a family member, you're the first one to know that, you're the first one to catch it. So you might generally, so as a friend, you generally do say, is something wrong with you? You don't, look your usual self. A lot of times your friends, your family tend to open up and say, yeah, man, this something is going on in my family. I am not happy about it, or, I'm just not happy, or my health is not well, or, just something is going on in that person's life. They tend to, open up and tell you these things. And what happens is, in those initial phases, you as a friend, you as a family member, or you as a colleague are actually able to help them out, which is a good thing. Go ahead and help them out in as many ways possible. But when you feel that, this person has been, suppressing their emotions, suppressing their feelings, and it has actually, escalated to a level where, that person's productivity in, say, either their college life or their work life has actually started diminishing to a really great extent. So it is something, I, as a professional, would rather, suggest that you all make sure that the person gets the help from an expert, rather than you trying to figure out other ways of helping. Of course, even when the person is in therapy or under medication or under any sort of treatment from a professional, you as a friend can be someone who can support them to carry on the treatment. You can also support them in saying that, what, additionally to the treatment that you're taking, I can also help, help you. Probably we can go out and have a cup of coffee, or we could spend more time if you want to, sometimes express something more that you want to, beyond what you have already, expressed in therapy. So what I'm trying to say here is, when you know for a fact that the condition that your friend, your colleague, your family member has, it has gone beyond something that you can actually help them with, or it has gone to an extent where it is actually deteriorating the person's life in sense of a work-life balance, or in the sense of, educational grades coming down, or just the person is just not, able to get themselves up and go about with life, it is time that you ask the person to go see a professional help or take up intervention.